Hello, I'm Veronica from Dorcas Deigns Sewing School, and I'm going to show you a little bit about how to sew in a straight line. This is just a tip I'm giving you today. So those of you who are beginners, or maybe you haven't done sewing for a long time, maybe you did it when you was at school and would like to know or refresh your memory on how to sew in a straight line, I'm just going to give you some basic tips. It's very easy to learn. So I'm going to do that now. I'll tell you what, I've got a sewing machine here, a Janome sewing machine. So any sewing machine you've got should be ideal. And I've got a piece of material here which has been got a straight line that you can follow. And I'm going to show you how to do that now, how to sew in a straight line. So first of all, just to let you know, it's a good idea, actually, if you can come close with the camera, it's a good idea to actually draw your line first, because this will help you if you're a beginner. I'm just going to show you how to do that now. So to do that now, you get your straight edge where you're going to have your seam. Your seam is going to be here. The edge of your seam is going to be here, and you're going to be sewing down here. So what I'd do is I'd measure and mark a line as just as a guide. If you're a beginner, if you're more advanced, you wouldn't need to do this. But to start out with, most seams start at 1.5 centimeters. A lot of them do. It can be bigger, it can be smaller, but I'm just going to show you using a 1.5 centimeter. And if you see here, if you come closer with the camera, I'm actually measuring 1.5 centimeters away from the edge. So this is my edge, and I've got my little tape measure here, 1.5 centimeters. I'm going to put a little mark there, 1.5 centimeters in, just a little dash. Measure again, measure the 1.5 with the edge of the material, and marking 1.5 centimeter, and all the way down. As many as a few as you like. It depends how confident you are at sewing. 1.5 centimeters, and I do it again. It's just a very quick process. 1.5 centimeters, marking from the edge of the material with the tape measure. And what you can also do, if you're a beginner, you're not confident, you can actually get a ruler and draw your line across. So imagine you've got your ruler here, and you draw your line down there if you're not confident as a beginner. But you can do it like that. And then next, what I'm going to do next, I'm going to take it to my piece of fabric to my sewing machine here, with the chalk side up, facing up, so I can see it. You there? Switch on the sewing machine, and just to let you know, a lot of sewing is done at 2.5 centimeters or 3 centimeters. So I'm going to change this size to 3 centimeter, so, and that means not 3 centimeter size, number 3, which is 3 millimeters in length. So all the sizes on the machine is 1 millimeter, 2 millimeter, 3 millimeter. So this is 3 millimeter in length. The stitches are each. There's a very small stitches to hold. That's what holds your garment together. So as I say, as you can see, this is where I'm going to be stitching from here to the top to the bottom. I'm going to put it under the machine now. I've already, just to let you know, I've already threaded my machine. I've threaded it up. This is what I did earlier. So if you've got your machine threaded, because that's be another program, how to thread your sewing machine. So I put my material underneath the needle, and I'm going to line up the chalk. Now if you can see here, cameraman, you can line up the chalk with the needle. So in the middle of the foot here, which is called the presser foot, and in the middle is where the needle goes, down right in the middle of the presser foot. That's where my chalk is going to line up my line. So I'll just start a little bit away, maybe a quarter of an inch away from the edge, not right on the edge, otherwise the material will get chewed up inside. Just maybe a quarter of an inch away from the edge, or 3 millimeters. Line it up there. I'm going to just put my needle down with my hand. I'm using my hand wheel here now, pulling it forward, turning it forward anti-clockwise towards me. Put my needle in there, and then I put my presser foot down. And what you'd normally do is you'd have 2 pieces of fabric that you're sewing together. So what you'd need to do is do a couple of stitches backward and a couple of stitches forward, just to secure the ends so that it doesn't come out. And you do that using a reverse button. Now, many of you might have a reverse button with like a little lever that you pull down a couple of stitches and lift it up. On mine here, I've got a little arrow here. You can't see it, but it's a little arrow that you press to go backwards. So I'm going to press with my presser foot very slowly. I'm going to go very slowly to begin with. As a beginner, you want to go slow. You don't want to go fast, because you could make a mess if you're going too fast. So I'm going to do a couple of stitches now. See my needle moving up and down. And then I'm going to press my backwards button now. And I'm going to back a couple of stitches. There's going. You can see the needle going back. And then I'm going to slowly go forward, very slowly. And at the same time, what I want you to look at, I'm not actually watching the needle. I'm going to be watching where my guide is. You see, you've got a guide here. And I want to do 1.5 centimetres, which is here. So I haven't quite lined it up correctly. But what you need to do, the edge of the fabric, line it up with the guide as it goes in. So here, it's going really slowly. And what you do, you're not watching the needle going in. It will do its own thing. And the needle will do it itself. But you're watching the edge of the fabric, lining up with the guide, which is etched on the right-hand side of the plate, the throat plate of the sewing machine. So you just line it. So slow I'm going. And I'm guiding it. I'm not pushing it. I'm not pulling it. There's no need to that, because we've got what we call feed dogs underneath, which is actually pushing the material forward. So there's no need for you to push like this or pull. You just let it go of its own accord. So again, I'm sewing it, going very slowly, and I'm just watching the edge of my fabric. There you go. Very slowly, lining it up as it goes along until I get to the end. And at the same time, it's going on top of the chalk, right on top of the chalk. So when you get a bit more confident, you maybe not need to draw a chalk line. You can just guide your fabric up with the edge of the. But just those of you who don't know, I'll show you. And then I'm just getting really near to the edge now. So if I just get like 1/4 of an inch, maybe away from the edge, or so, put a couple of, and then backwards button, a couple of stitches, 2-3 stitches back, and 2-3 stitches forward, and there we have it. My needle's up, and then I lift my presser foot, and then I just turn my little knobs a couple of times like that, and cut it there. And there you have it there. And that's my sewing in a straight line. And I'm going to show you now, just to show you, that's the sewing in a straight line. And I'm going to show you now, also, there you go, how to sew next to that parallel, next to it, how to get a parallel line next to it. So I think it's yes. So what I do is put it back in the machine, so you don't need to draw another line if you're doing parallel. It's very easy to line your, some people say, oh, when you got two, like a pair of jeans, a pocket or a pair of jeans, you've got two parallel lines. How do they do that? Well, I put this in my machine next to the parallel line, and I can use maybe the edge of my presser foot as a marker. So I put the needle down, again 1/4 of an inch away from the edge, and I don't know if you can see, but the edge of this presser foot here, I'm lining it up right next to the first line of stitching I did, so I can do a parallel line. You can do it closer if you want to. You can use a line in the middle of the foot if you want. It depends how close together you want this parallel line. But for the easy sake, I'm going to put it right on the edge of the presser foot. And what I'm going to do, as I'm going along, before we was watching the edge of the etched line, but I'm going to be watching this parallel line now as it goes along, not the needle. So then we go a couple of stitches forward and a couple of stitches back again, forward again. And then I'm just watching the edge of the foot lining up with the last line of stitching I did to make sure that it's a parallel line. There we go. There we go. So I'm getting to the edge of the fabric now. Again, I'm watching as I go along, watching the line, make sure it lines up. And a couple of stitches forward, a couple of stitches back. There we go. Lift my presser foot. There we go, two parallel lines. See how neat they are? Right next to one another. Parallel at an even distance. That's how you line up two lines together, parallel. Sewing in a straight line. So you can practice this at home. Practice doing lines down a strip of fabric. Down a strip of fabric. Practice over and over again until you get it right. Lining it up either parallel line, right, and also by the edge, because that's how you'll do your seam. And also practice parallel lines. And that's how you do, very basic, very easy, how you do your lines. I want to thank you all for watching. Hope you get on well.